we're gonna need 5 minutes.
Yes, and then sometimes it works and
The girl can see. Sorry, man. Really hard to find it. No, I don't see because
ça marche, ce qui est informatique et tout.
Bah ouais, du coup ça marche, mais je le coupe peut-être.
Non mais on pourra...
I cut it. It's not really live, but nearly. Not really, it's a bit like a few seconds separating, but it's nearly live. Maybe I cut it and put it somewhere else. Use this maybe. What do you want to put behind? Want to put something or no?
I don't know. We shouldn't have the same thing, I guess, because.
Yeah, no, it's not a good idea.
But,
Sophie?
I don't know. Maybe you can put that on Facebook or something.
Olivier Beau.
Mais c'est ici que...
Ouais, c'est ici la conférence.
J'ai pas prévu de présentation.
Non, non, c'est normal. C'est juste un débat. Après, c'est des étudiants qui présentent.
D'accord.
ici et puis après
That's Olivier Mania.
Yeah. Akshay?
Thierry. Je vais juste poser mon manteau.
So what do you want to do? You want to put this, put that on the live stream somewhere, or?
This not too early. Or just cut the screen, and we don't use the screen right now.
Yeah, no. I think there's no use for the screen now.
Okay.
And we start the screen when we start the pitching. Sebastian has a small presentation in the beginning.
Yeah.
We will do that.
How do I cut the screen?
Yeah. Okay.
Ah, yes.
Aha.
Je dois interviewer l'invité de ce soir.
Quel invité?
Giaco.
Tu commences moi? Ok.
C'est bon?
Pourquoi?
Je suis Aurélie.
Aurélie? Ah oui, monsieur, je viens de t'exprimer. C'est ça. Regarde
c'est toi qui fais passer les slides.
Ouais, mais je sais pas comment ça marche.
Tu restes 5 minutes pour faire une petite interview?
Ouais, rapide, on va bientôt commencer, mais ok, rapide 5 minutes?
Ouais.
Ok.
5 minutes. Ça marche?
5 minutes, alors.
Et autre chose pour les carfs, est-ce que il y avait quoi comme projet de... Ouais. Il y avait quoi comme...
Moi, je comprends pas comment ça marche.
Ouais, on va faire une vidéo sur les carfs. Ok, ouais,
Bah, j'espère que ça marchera. Hein. Quoi? sert à rien là. Ou alors.
I don't know. You take. Currently, it's this that works.
There's not even a light. Hello. No, this is this one.
What's kavat?
That is the things you have to put.
Should we just ask the,
there are more here.
the technical support? These are better. If we could just use these.
Oh, it says HF1, HF2. I think these are those two.
Oh, it's on.
I don't know.
Yeah?
Hello? Yeah, this works. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, it
We got
works.
two working microphones.
These ones.
This one
are
is HF2.
slowly working.
Hello?
How do we mute these?
We just press this button.
Oh, yes.
Hello? Yeah. Now we only have two mics.
Je sais pas comment ça marche.
Alors. I mean, if we could just use these, if we can get four of these to work. Because we want to hand it to for the audience questions.
They are going to share after.
It's good that the
if they can
entrepreneurs
have.
have the tool to share, and then we use just.
You have this? Okay.
It's just gonna block the conversation. So this works?
Yes.
Testing.
Okay?
Does this work?
Yes.
How do I put this?
Yes. Mute, I think.
Sorry?
And then the two others, if they work, let's just use them all.
Where do you put this?
Somewhere close to your mouth.
So professional. Jeez. Do you think it was so intense?
Hello? Hello?
Hello? Hello?
That's
Hello?
it, you push here, and then you.
Talk loud.
Hello?
How many people are here? No, don't hold it so loud. Just
You need to press. Maybe you need. Okay, yeah, my mic works.
how hard do you want to press it?
It's okay, we don't care.
Leave it on. Yeah, it doesn't. It's the.
Or
They're not so
working,
sensitive.
you just have to push here and there to make
Okay,
them
they're
work.
working. Why don't you just put
This
one
is
on each
working
table?
for the okay?
One on each table.
So everyone has one? Yeah. Well, take one first. Press the button.
Put them on the table.
You're talking now.
as soon as come back. He's been interviewed by a girl from HEC. And just 2 minutes left. And then let's go.
Yeah, Giacomo is
Okay, fine. On attend Giacomo et on a Giacomo.
shared the streaming link.
Yeah, I think Chloe did it. Ask Chloe, no way she did it.
Maybe we're going to ask them if they can share two microphones for the questions. Me and Akshay will probably left and right.
Did you go and see where Giacomo was in the installation? Ouais, tu vois, enfin. Fin de pitcher, on a un teaser. Starting soon. Allez. Yeah, Giacomo is in the skill down there. Okay, so let's go. Thanks for coming for the 2015 edition of the WAD, the What About Daring event. So here is starting the entrepreneurial revolution of HEC, already initiated by Margot Pollen, who is really sorry she can't be here today, but she had just a little accident. Thanks to the Build Society also, who will animate the debate today, and to the organizers of the Startup Corner, Thomas and Sophie, for their job. The Carrefour HEC and Build are very proud to welcome 4 great entrepreneurial-minded people. I would also like to say that tomorrow we'll start the HEC Career Fair with a special place for startups, the Startup Corner, and we're also really happy to welcome 58 innovative startups during the 2 days, and they're willing to show how they expect to change the world, or at least just a little bit of it. So that's the next step for entrepreneurial life of HEC. There will also be a seed event in April, organized by Build, dedicated to innovation. I now declare the 2015 WAD event opened. Good luck to the pitchers who will pitch just after, and may the best idea win the very nice prizes.
So welcome to the WAD 2015. Let me just tell you a brief agenda of the event first. We'll have 10 minutes to introduce the 4 great entrepreneurs we have here. After which, for 30 minutes, there will be a discussion led by me and Vincent. Following which, there will be another 30 minutes of discussion in which you will be involved with the 4 dignitaries. So let me say, let's start with the introductions, starting with Thierry maybe.
Thank you. How long do you want?
Oh, just 2 minutes.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Thierry Maillet. I'm a VP founder of Ushot, the first worldwide marketplace for photographers. Up to now, it has been very difficult for anyone to find out and book a photographer online. You have huge administrative costs. It costs about 50% to find out a photographer, and therefore photographers do have problems to get access to the market and to find out new clients. With Ushot, we want to offer them a full platform so they can have access and deal with clients directly, and therefore we think it's very important for cultural people and creative people to find out new ways to get access to markets, and especially through the internet.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Can we go on to Giacomo?
So I'm Giacomo Suma. I'm a co-founder and CEO of Stylet, which is an app for women to find their perfect shoes. Essentially, it's like Tinder, but for women's shoes. I used to work, I used to sit, well, not here because this building wasn't here when I was at HEC, but I graduated in 2011. I did a double degree with MIT. So once I graduated from HEC, I started working for Rocket Internet, which is like this business incubator that starts companies all over the world, builds e-commerces like Zalando, Groupon, and such. And basically, they sent me to Brazil for a couple of years, where I was director of fashion e-commerce, which grew really fast, and that's where I saw the potential of women's shoes. And when I then decided to move back to Europe, I moved to London, saw Tinder, and I thought, okay, that would make a lot of sense with applying it to women's shoes. And then put together a co-founding team, and that was October 2013, and now we have more than 500,000 downloads. We have raised about €1 million, and we're growing as a team, and women are swiping like crazy, so we get like 600 swipes on average per user, and it's been a lot of fun.
Hi everyone, so my name is Antoine Brachet, and I did not start a company. I have basically 2 lives. The first one is I'm working for heading the development for NetVibes, who is a subsidiary of Dassault System. And I guess the main reason why I was invited here is because I made a joke in February last year. I launched a movement called Les Sans Barbares. And I did that because I'm very curious of the world that is around us. Because I've launched before a think tank that's called Futurbulence, that takes some weak signals about the fact that the world is moving fast and how we can try to act in some other ways. And launching that movement in February last year was a way to try to go from thinking to actions. So trying to gather some people that tries to do something differently and make sure they are being noticed and not just in their old garage or nobody knows about them. So that's what I do. This is what I do. This is because I started this as a joke, so it was like 10 minutes, and now it's taking more and more time in my life. It's all right.
Hi everyone, my name is Guillaume Tassetto. I'm the founder of Kairos. It's a B2B startup in the retail industry. Everything started back in 2008 when I won an innovation prize on how smartphones could help brands in general to better connect with their clients and prospects. Back then the iPhone just came out, so it was a bit early. We started in 2010. I was in my last year as a business school student. We worked for Canal+. We tried to iterate as much as possible to understand what issues were our clients facing, how could mobile technologies help them, and what type of data we were able to collect. And we iterated and in March last year to help retailers, brands with shops, to better know the people who are going into their stores. They have to manage two different worlds. The digital world, it's very expensive for them, and also the physical world. And the physical world is not connected at all, or very badly. So we try to help them in that way, and we launched in March with Lacoste. All the UK stores of Lacoste. Air France, we signed with Carrefour and SFR, and we try to move forward as quick as possible.
Thank you, everyone. So the theme for today's discussion is innovation and daring in France. The discussion will center an article that Antoine here published a year ago about the 100 French barbarians. These 100 barbarians were supposed to be the ones who will create the France of tomorrow and who will change the world here. Since then, this list has been praised by many people in the startup community here, including Nicolas Collin and Alice Zaguri. There are no politicians or business moguls in it's purely innovators and people who create their own path. They don't follow the path created by other people. Since you've already worked on this a lot, and you've worked on innovation, the mindset for innovation, and you've already worked on this even in your think tank, could you share with us your vision for innovation in France today?
Actually, you hear me if I speak like this, or should I take the mic? It's for you, okay. I don't know if sharing a vision about something that nobody can define is uneasy, and innovation is impossible to define. But for me, the main thing interesting in that start of a movement is the fact that each piece of the puzzle is going next to the other one very, very fast. Meaning that when I launched that, I really saw that the main idea, to briefly do the context, you were asking me, is there was that ranking that was published in France that's called Classement Choiseul. It was released in Le Figaro with traditional media. And he said, here are the 100 people under 40 that represents what's going to be France tomorrow. So I read this, and I was reading this. I was on Facebook, and I got a friend of mine. I mean, I didn't know that guy, but he said, "Oh, guy sucks. It's not them." Basically, if you look at what was into this population, either you have been doing Polytechnique or ENA, and if you did that, you had to go into a cabinet ministériel, and then possibly you were supposed to change the world in France. So my reaction was to say, I knew some of those guys, so yes, some of them are interesting people, but it's not enough, and there are some other people that should be mentioned. So I launched that. And doing so, now it's like 1,800 people that, and I've left one of those online meetings just before coming, just trying to push forward some ideas. And the way it goes is always like a design thinking process. So what we do, for example, is just to give you an example. We did that. Then it was that publication in Nouvelle Ops of an article around this ranking. So we all got a mail saying you are invited to meet Mr. Macron, who is our French economy minister. And so I received the mail. I said, yes, cool, I'm going to go there. It's going to be interesting. And then I forgot. And then I went there and I said, oh, I got to go. It's tonight. And it was 7 p.m. And 7 p.m., I said, okay, I'm going to go there. Maybe there are some other people invited, but not anyone. What should I do? So I just went onto that group. And I said, guys, rush for ideas. We meet Mr. Macron, some of us meet Mr. Macron tonight. Do you have any ideas that should be submitted to this guy? And 1 hour later on, I got the equivalent of a full report of 30 pages of ideas that were all positive and all trying to push something out that could be delivered during the speech. That is for me innovation. This is the result of this rush of ideas. One last thing to answer. So during the dinner, that was interesting because at one point there was this discussion in between the big companies in France, like CAC 40, and the fact that they do not help of small companies around. Basically, if you're a small company, I'm also part of one, and you want to deal with a big company, all that you're going to be able to negotiate is very, very low in terms of money that you make, in terms of payment delay, etc. So basically, they are burning the market like Attilas. So we were discussing that. And one of the guys at the table said, yeah, maybe we should make that work group that will be commission and sub-commissions and so on. And so I looked to Emmanuel Macron and I said, why shouldn't we propose to all executive committees in France of CAC 40 to adopt a barbarian? The same way you did Tinder, would be adopt a barbarian and try to figure out something else. Because for me, and I will just finish with that, sorry I was a little long, it's for me the main thing behind innovation is the creativity, which is basically the brain that we never are use, which is the right brain, basically. It's doing things like this, and then sometimes it works, and it's cool. That's it.
Do you have anything to add to this, Thierry?
What Antoine has just mentioned is, if I may, it's very French. It's always what we can do looking at the state or looking at very big companies. Just I'm going to repeat. I said Antoine's presentation, which is very good, was very much into very French, like what can the state do for me? What in our relationship with the state? He had the dinner with the French Minister of Economy. Or what can I do with very big companies like CAC 40, the top S&P major companies. I think we also, and you do have the opportunity not to take care anymore about what's going on in big companies, what's going on from the state. Don't wait anything anymore from these guys because they won't come and help you anymore. They will be there. If you make it big, then they will maybe buy you. They will maybe try to get a stake of your company. But I would not I would not care that much about what these big companies, what the state is going to do after you. Go on your way. There are thousands of good ideas to do. I mean, the 3Ds, for example, I really think it's a huge, huge revolution. It's going to change so many things. So just go for it.
For me, I hear what you say, but I have to also to say I'm on the side of Antoine on this because we are still in France, and we have to understand how it works. And I think we need people like you, like you mentioned Nicolas Collin. Actually, I co-founded no, not the family, standalone media with Nicolas. Nicolas is an ARC, Inspecteur des Finances, entrepreneur also, and he knows the two worlds. And us entrepreneurs, we don't have the time, we don't have the knowledge about this world, this political world, and we don't have the time. We don't have time to waste, actually, because it's sometimes a lot, yes, time wasted. So we need, I think, people like you. You said we don't have to expect anything from the politics. I agree with you, but sometimes they do things against you. So maybe the only things to, if we only manage them not to do anything against us, it's an achievement.
I guess what I can share is my experience as an entrepreneur in the UK. What's been really good in terms of sort of working with the government is that what the government in the UK has understood. I'm not sure what the case is in France, and maybe similar. That is amazing. Is that they don't have to invest money themselves in startups, but basically what they did was to set up a scheme that allows like business angels, so essentially investors that have wealthy individuals that can invest in startups, to get a tax break if they invest in startups. So what's great about it is that basically all these people have got a lot of experience, because usually business angels are former entrepreneurs who've sold their companies, or people who've got a lot of experience in setting up a company from the ground, are actually the ones that are shaping up all this startup economy. So that's been working really well, because what I did notice is that whenever the government has been involved into sort of like investing directly into startups, I'm sure in certain cases it's gone really well, but I've also heard from friends, how it's sort of like hindered their growth, because they've had to kind of like deal with a lot of like lengthy reports, or it's been then harder to raise from venture capital in the future because of certain expectations. So I've been very much in favor of this approach, and that's kind of like also what I learned through my own experience, and sort of like what can shape the world. I mean, I very much agree that essentially the government needs to facilitate entrepreneurs to be able to change the world on their own. So when I did my gap year at HEC, my année de césure, actually I was very much into, like everyone wants to do banking, consulting once you're at HEC. So my first internship obviously was in M&A in London. And then I was like, let's take advantage of this gap year to actually do quite a few different things and see whether there's something outside of banking. So my second internship was like completely different. I went to Bangladesh. I worked for Grameen Bank, which is basically the institution funded by Mohamed Yunus, who won the Nobel Prize because he microcredit. And I was like, whoa, that's great. You can actually, there's a business who can have like a super positive impact on the world, and it's done as a business. But at that stage, I hadn't that idea of like business versus government. I didn't see them as like two somehow separate yet parallel entities. And so I thought that, okay, well, I really want to change the world. I've seen that, there's a huge potential to do great things for the people. So I went to New York in my third internship, and I worked for the UN. And that's when I was like, okay, government by its own, sort of, it's a lot about, there's a lot of bureaucracy that sort of makes the whole change in the world as an individual a little bit harder, right? Obviously, I'm not opposing government. I think that governments can do great things, but it's not going to be as part of government that you as an individual can have like a massive impact in a short amount of time. And so the final internship I did was Google, and that's when I sort of like realized that the tech world and the tech entrepreneurship can really have a massive impact on the life of people. So basically, to get back to the whole discussion, I guess I agree 100% that you need to discuss with the government and understand how the government can best help entrepreneurs. And I think it's potentially what's been done in the UK has been working really well. I have no idea what's been done in France, but what's been done in the UK has been really well, because basically I go out and look for funds, and I find amazing entrepreneurs who are willing to back me because they know they're going to get 50% of their money back as soon as the tax year ends. So if they invest in a company and they put 100K, it is that they're only putting 50K. And if the company fails within 3 years, then they get an extra 28% back. So essentially, any angel investor is only risking £22,000, like 22% she makes. So that's been working really well.
Okay. So we've all compared business and government, and the governments in different countries, because we're going to get back to that point a few minutes later. So I think Vincent.
Yeah, thanks, Giacomo. I think we're going to move on to the next question, and I'd like to have a quick discussion about the trends in B2C startups and B2B startups, and how that relates to innovation. So last year in the 500 startups, in case you're not familiar, it's one of the most prominent startup accelerators in Silicon Valley. 60% of the startups they chose were B2B, which is the highest percentage ever. And just to name a few big companies who have either shifted their business model to B2B or started as a B2B startup, Google, Criteo, HubSpot, Paymill, Dropbox, etc. So we have two entrepreneurs here who are B2C, one B2B, Guillaume, and I'd like to start with you on this question. And I'm kind of looking for three things. Do you see, from your perspective, this trend that startups are becoming more and more B2B opposed to B2C? Second, I'd like to hear if there's some concrete advantages from your perspective of being a B2B startup opposed to B2C, or vice versa. And finally, how do you think B2B is driving innovation opposed to B2C startups?
I'll try first to remember all your three questions, and then first on the trends, I don't see any trend, also because I'm not watching very closely to the trends, but everybody knows the most valuable companies in the US, in the Silicon Valley, are not B2C startups, they are B2B startups, but we never talk about them. I think out of maybe 100 companies that have a valuation than more than 1 billion, only 10 are B2C. And probably you can name all the 10, but you won't be able to name more than 5 in the B2B business. So let's discuss about this, but I don't see any trend on the B2C. Your second question was about the is it
advantages,
yes,
disadvantages,
the advantages or disadvantages. I think you mustn't think like this. I think you must think on what do you really like in your life, what do you really want to develop, and I'm sure Giacomo and I as much passionate about our business as we can be, but it's very different. It's B2C and I'm on B2B, so it's most on where you are, what you want to do. I think it's not a good way to think B2B and B2C. And question, sorry?
The third question relates to, do you see any differences in how B2B versus B2C drive digital innovation in the startup scene?
It's also very hard to discuss this because it all depends on how you define the innovation. Facebook wasn't really considered as innovative when they launched. Is it a product innovation? It's a long discussion, but I think you can be as innovative in B2C as in B2B. For me, the question is more about the relationship between startup and big groups. You can see innovation in mobile payment, for instance. We are all expecting for the mobile payment to rise, but we are a bit stuck in a situation where big brands They are all looking at each other. You have the banks, you have the telecom companies, you have Apple, you have Google, you have Amazon, you have Mastercard. You have a lot of, and you have also a lot of startups tackling to these problems. So the question is, for me, is more on how you organize this innovation between universities, between big groups, and between startups. In B2B.
Maybe a way to, I mean, I'm thinking as I speak, but a way to make difference is behind B2B and B2C. For me, one is, from my perspective, again, I did not launch a company, but B2C is more like a dream, and B2B is more reality. I've been working for a company that tried to achieve both, will not quote it, achieve both at the same time, a B2B environment and a B2C environment. And the way you are being organized to make those two things is very different. In one point, on one side, which is the B2B, you have the principle of reality, which is you're going to have some established business that you can control. You can more easily determine what they want. And have some feedbacks on what they, on the fact that you run a project, etc. But your ratio, so your ratio of risk diminish, and your ratio of potential gain diminish also. So the business model is not exactly the same. On the B2C side, for me, it's a kind of magic because we live in a world that is currently being more and more disintermediated. So we have spent like one full century trying to say, okay, we'll address these needs, and these needs we will intermediate it in different sections, and then we will fulfill these needs. That is called capitalism. So you have at the start a few needs. I guess you remember the Maslow pyramid, and then you go from needs to the other. And now, given what actually Nicolas Collin tells in one of his books, it's more like it's if you want to go into one business in B2C, everyone dreams of being able to find that small part of the market, but then it's a winner takes it all things. So you're gonna go, and then if you're not the best one, you're gonna die. So it's more like, from my perspective, something that is very risky, so you need to be very focused and loving what you want to do, because there is no place for anyone.
I never really thought about B2B versus B2C simply because I was always kind of drawn to do something directly for the customer, for the consumers. But then now, as you asked this question, I realized that essentially you can intend almost every business somehow as B2C. So even in B2B, I guess the ultimate goal is to make the consumer happy. Obviously, you're just helping a business to help to make a consumer happy. So it's a bit of a different thing. But what I did notice, I mean, if you're talking about trends, is how, there's been quite a few startups that have started serving consumers directly and then making money out of businesses. So you mentioned before Google and Facebook, and you sort of mentioned them as B2B somehow. I think they both started, what they do is to serve consumers really well. They do something that is very useful for them. What they actually monetize is businesses instead. And I mean, I can think of this even in relation to my own company. So what my objective is to obviously make women happy and get amazing shoes. But
your name is Giacomo, right?
Yeah, exactly. But eventually, by serving users really well and making their amazing shoes or their amazing fashion items, I could also start serving brands and retailers who want their shoes or fashion items to be discovered. So just like Facebook started doing native ads, where you go through your news feed and you see some advertising that is targeted to you because maybe you're a woman between 18 and 30 who loves shoes, and then you're going to see the ad of my app. In the same way, as you go through Stylect, which is my app, you'll be seeing some sponsor shoes from a retailer that wants to promote itself because they're selling something 300 meters from where you're located. So I think there's a thin line between B2B and B2C at the end of the day.
I agree. And while you were talking, I was thinking about Amazon. I don't know if everyone knows that Amazon makes the more money they make, they don't make it from the B2C business, but from the B2B cloud business. That's where the real money of Amazon comes out. So therefore, I agree with what has been said, that at the end of the day, the issue is maybe not to try to distinguish too much B2B or B2C, but try to figure out where my main flow of profit and money and profit will come from.
And I think actually the key point is about community. Sometimes when you are a B2C business, you try to make your community grow as much as possible, and then you try to monetize it. In the B2B business, it's the other way around. You try to sell, but at the end, I think to be really powerful at a worldwide, you need to build also a community out of your business services.
What I can add, I guess, from just proper like entrepreneurial perspective, I guess it's at the beginning, it's a very different way of doing business. You're completely correct in the sense that I notice all the people, for example, that I've met in through accelerators and such, or within the London community, when they have a B2B business, their day is essentially going from one big meeting to the other with big corporations trying to pitch an idea and losing pretty much 99% of the meetings, in the sense that nothing comes out of 99% of the meeting, and then there's the one meeting that goes well, where they basically get their first engagement, and then they build a product around the first business they convince that it's worth the work together, and then they expand it from there. So it's basically, it's completely different the way you're going to do things, because on the other hand, my day at the beginning of my startup experience was basically talking to as many potential customers as possible, so as many women as possible, trying to understand how they shop for shoes, and aiming on day one on building a big community, a large community of shoe lovers that could download my app. So it's a different way of doing things, but ultimately as you grow, there are going to be a lot of things in common.
So coming back to what you said about the comparison of different countries and how things are done there. So for example, you're Giacomo, you're Italian. You've been to HEC, you've been to MIT, you worked at Google, the UN, a lot of places. I have to actually look at this to remember all that. So you really have a very complete profile. You've seen a lot of things. Why did you end up in London to start your startup? And you've already talked a bit about how the opportunities there are better, but if you could give a comparison maybe to Italy and France and London.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure if London is better than Paris, don't get me wrong. I'm sure there are lots of opportunities in Paris. For me, I wanted to get back to Europe. I was in Brazil. I'd been out of Europe for about 3 years. I was in the US first and then Brazil. And I thought London sort of sells itself as the best place to start a business in Europe, just because it's extremely international, And I think the reason why I also wanted to be back in Europe is that there's a lot of talk about Silicon Valley, and everyone wants to go to Silicon Valley, but at the end of the day, there really is so much competition over there. There's so much hype, and the US, yes, is a big market, but Europe and the rest of the world they're just like huge markets that are in the need to be disrupted and the need to be conquered. And I guess that's where I kind of like learned from Rocket Internet to focus on everything except for the US and China, which are incredibly hard market, incredibly competitive. And for me, it just makes sense to be back in Europe. And London is simply the most international city in Europe, where you have entrepreneurs from all the different countries in the world. And what I do feel, but it's just a perception, I hope you can actually tell me I'm wrong, it feels like London compared to France or compared to Italy has more of a global outlook. So if you start a business in Italy, at least, it seems like you can do great things, but it's going to be mostly targeted to the Italian market. It's going to be hard for you to be international. And I have the sense that it might be fairly similar in Paris. Obviously less so than in Italy, because Italy it's a lot more sort of like focused on its own territory. But that's kind of the feeling I got. And you have a lot of examples of London entrepreneurs that have done great things. And so for me, it was, where can I go where I can get a lot of mentorship and I can sort of like rely on the local community to hopefully build something great. So that was kind of the reasoning behind my choice.
And Guillaume and Antoine, you guys are based in France. Maybe you can add something.
Actually, it's going to be much less interesting than what Giacomo said. One thing just led to another. Basically, I was 22. I managed to work with Canal+. I won their tender, their appel d'offres, against two big companies. One who raised 9 million, the other raised 30. Then Danone contacted me to create their first mobile website in China during 6 months. So basically, I didn't really had a international strategy. I was in France. I was French. My clients were French, so I started in France. And I did a business trip with a friend in San Francisco. Actually, what Giacomo is saying is right. The competition there is very, very tough. And we see only the good things about San Francisco and the US. And what I love the most about what you said is there are plenty of businesses, of industries that need to be disrupted in Europe, not only in France, but in Europe. So there are plenty of opportunities that you have in Europe, not only in France, but in Europe.
And on my end, I guess you would have asked me the question 2 years ago, my answer would have been different. I used to travel a lot because I loved to meet different people, considering that staying in my place with the way I was educated and so on was not enough. And I was not able to understand the world if I was staying in only one place. And I guess another answer at that time was to consider that in France, everything was kind of pessimistic, and I was looking for something more optimistic in some other places. And now, for some reason, and I'm not wrong, I got the impression that there are so many people now in France that really wants to change things and make things evolve, that for the first time, I'm happy to be staying here and hopefully contribute even a little to push things up. So,
Antoine, do you see an evolution on the mind?
In the mindset, yes. Again, it's hard from one single perspective to have a general law, but yes, in 2 or 3 years, I got really the impression that everyone now is aware of the fact that something's going on, and a lot of people, mainly the young generation, wants to play their part. I go back to what you said, Thierry, when we created the first debate. Basically, your angle was on building some bridge or not with the States. My angle was more on some methodology, and that is maybe a fail fast, let's try, and if it's not good, let's forget about it, and I don't care. But I got the impression that more and more there is a kind of mood in which everyone wants to go into this direction. So it's very fuzzy, it's very with blurred lines. I clearly don't know, and I'm not here to give some solution saying this is what should be done or not, because I clearly don't know. But for the first time, I got the impression that some new solutions can come from this country. So I'm happy to stay here. Yeah.
I do agree. I do agree that for the last 2 or 3 years, you had a lot of new ideas, new associations that really want, French people really want to push things forward. To come back to your question, I think about where do I have to establish myself? We at Ushot, we were figuring out between London and Singapore, but we finally decided to stay in Paris and maybe then move to New York for one reason, which is where are our clients? Where are the people are we going to work with? And in the photography industry, the two capitals worldwide are definitely Paris and New York. And so that's the reason why we stayed there. We stayed here and we did not move to London, even though I do agree there are tremendous opportunities, wonderful ecosystem in London for the tech industry.
Okay, for our final question before we open the question to the audiences, I'd like to shift to these. And from your perspective, what do you think you can change about universities or education to promote more digital innovation? recently we've been seeing a lot of startups being creative, but they are not really being truly innovative on a digital scale, on a digital sense. One problem that's been cited is the lack of university level programmers. So Xavier Niel, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, has started École 42, for instance. And I'd like to open it up to the floor. What do you think are some variables or some things that can be changed to promote more digital innovation on the university level?
Just one thing, for example, here on this campus, which is absolutely wonderful, I haven't seen any digital school nearby. Why doesn't a French or Paris Chamber of Commerce try to invite Parisian digital school to move up here on the Saclay Plateau and figure out what can be done? I totally agree. I think there are a lack of 10,000 digital developers right now in France. So the more schools, the more new projects, and the more cross projects, meaning that guys from the business schools and guys from the digital schools, they are just nearby. That's part of the success of the Valley. And that's somehow what can happen also in New York. And of course, that's something which is very important. And I think if I would have something to say or encourage, would be that to get the business guys and the digital guys closer.
I'm not sure, when you say we have a lack of digital profiles, I'm not sure the answer is building new digital schools. For me, one of the answers is mostly to integrate digital in already existing school. We try to hire some guys from École 42. It's not all about coding, it's also how you organize your work, how you manage to work with other people from other backgrounds. So I see the same in the big companies we work for. They said 2 or 3 years ago, okay, digital is going to be huge. So they created digital poles in their companies. But digital must be everywhere in the company. And so now they have the business guys in the company, and they don't talk to each other. So you manage to talk to the digital guys, but they are not connected with the business guys, so they don't really know if your product is interesting or not. And because they don't know the guy from the business, and they also fear to talk to them, they know they have only one shot, so they don't want to mess. So basically my idea was, I'm not sure more digital school is I'm not sure it's the right answer.
Plus, it will come from the bottom. You see a lot of initiatives in which, in the classic academical process, there is a lack. So now there are a lot of examples of schools that are being created to lacks. I think that there is a huge inertia in the academic system. That is strange when we were talking about going in different places. If you look all around the world, the priority of what you are being taught is always the same since ages. It's like math, and then it's like humanity, and then at the bottom it's arts. So I think it has a kind of impact on the way it kind of kills creativity, which is not good. Plus, it is not possible I mean, it's not moving fast enough compared to the way the world is moving, and the world is moving and needs some further skills that are not being sought. But I'm not on my side. I'm completely optimistic. I think it's going to be covered by some other. Basically, I've got a little daughter. She's 2 years old. I'm not sure. I'm sure she will be able to code better than I do at 5 or 6. I mean, she will try to some serious gaming or whatever, and it's going to be the start. And then if she loves it, she will go. But then I'm going to be hard for me to discuss with her, because talking with people that code, sometimes you need a kind of interface. But we will invent that too, I guess.
What I can say is that I think there's, in business schools, there's been always a little bit of a preference to kind of like teach people how to be managers. And there hasn't been too much focus on making people entrepreneurs, right? I think that's obviously changing, because more and more business schools are realizing that that's a crucial thing to be done. But yeah, I do think that in general, entrepreneurship needs to be encouraged. And it doesn't even matter if it's not particularly innovative, in the sense that just by setting up a company, you know, your last year of business school, you're still doing a favor to yourself, because basically you're kind of like learning something that helps you then building more and more companies. I mean, it's quite remarkable how once you've done it once, it becomes a lot easier to do it a second time, a third time, and a fourth time, and it's a lot easier for you to kind of like train people to start companies on their own, and to kind of mentor other people, and to show them how cool it is. So I guess my point here is that one thing I wish I had done when I was in business school was to basically take advantage of at least the final year to put myself together with a friend and start a business, because it's really like the best time in which you can do it. You know, you're not getting paid anyway, so you might as well not get paid the same way, and you really have a lot of time, a lot more time than you will have once you start working for a bigger company, and you have the chance to basically convince your best friends to potentially join your journey in the entrepreneurial journey. So that's, again, it's just a great time to test things out and to learn as much as possible, because ultimately what's great about being an entrepreneur is that it's the one job where you learn the most. There's no other job out there that can get you to learn as much. You know, on a daily basis, I'm fundraising, I'm hiring people, I'm doing marketing, I'm talking about tech, I'm talking to customers, I'm talking to retailers and such. So it's very diverse, and I never get bored, right? So that's the beauty of entrepreneurship, and I think that this message is not pushed enough in the mind of students.
Perfect. And with that, let's open the questions to the audience. So if there's anything you wish to ask, now's the time.
Raise your hand and you get a mic. Just say who you want to ask the question.
So it's a question for everybody. Good evening. I have actually two questions. The first one is, what do you think of the serial entrepreneur? Is it a myth? And the second one is, if you had to do what you did again, what would you do differently?
So I was talking about serial entrepreneurs, so I guess I'll take the first guess. I mean, it's not really a myth, in the sense that once you started a company and you've succeeded at it, you're more likely to succeed again for a few reasons. Well, probably you were good if you succeeded first time, but that's not the real reason. The real reason is that it's going to be a lot more easy for you to raise funds in the future. So you're Steve Jobs, you're going to set up a second company. Obviously, you're going to find like venture capitalists in 2 days. So you're not going to have to focus on fundraising. You're not going to have to focus on hiring the best people. They're going to come to you. So that sort of past makes it easier for you to succeed. So it definitely helps being a successful entrepreneur. And the second question was around sort of what would I do differently? Well, actually, before I set up Stylect, I tried to set up another company after I quit Rocket Internet, and it was in Brazil, and it was in the language learning space, and it was with a friend from HEC, like a really good friend of mine. And I think what we did wrong, the reason why it didn't take off, and then we moved on to doing different things, was that we didn't sort of take the approach of failing fast enough, you know. So we were trying to make a perfect product on day one. It was, again, a B2C product, a language learning app, and we wanted to create this like amazing app, and it would take us ages to pitch what the idea was. We weren't even able to explain it well enough, because it was taking us months to develop something, because we're always like into the details, or not this thing, we should do differently. Whilst the reality is that I wish I did how I did with Stylit, which was basically, as soon as I had the idea, within 5 days I had something that I could show to the public, that I could get feedback from. So sometimes I recommend people who have an idea. I don't know, like the other day I was talking to some people who asked me what they thought about building a marketplace where people can exchange goods. And I was like, that's great, but why? They were talking about an app, they were talking about developers, how much should we pay, co-founders and such. And I was like, look guys, before you even go into spending like 40K to find some developers, why don't you just set up a group on Facebook and invite people to it and set up that through a Facebook group, which is something you can do within a day. So I always say, and I will always do that whenever I build new companies, I'll try to find the quickest way to discover whether an idea has potential or not, because there's always a way to understand whether it makes sense whatsoever.
And on your first question, listening to you and to a lot of people that talk to me about starting their business, I thought there was like a kind of magic, basically, like a drug. And so you try it once, and you don't care if you fail or not. But I guess the people that were very positive with this is when they started something, and it goes back to what you've said before. They were aligned with, meaning they were really, okay with the why of the company, basically. And when they did that this way, at the end of the day, they wanted to go further and further and further. So they step out of their comfort zone, and then they want to come back. And in a small way, on my end, it's not a company. I mean, I don't know what this is, basically. Whatever, it started in a fail fast mode, and clearly I'm not making any money with what I'm doing of this part of my life, but a part of me say I should find something because I don't want to give up, basically. I just don't want to give up on this side because I feel useful in a way. So that's it.
And I've just read that the founder of Uber had started his first company. He failed. The second one, I think he sold it when they were 5, and he thought it was done. And now you know the story about Uber. So no, I agree. I don't think it's a myth. I really think that some people are eager to do and redo again, and I think that's what it means to be entrepreneur. It's really something that I'd say, Antoine, you like it. It's a drug you really like, or you don't like it, or you don't feel. It's even more. It's even stronger than just like it. It's something like I need to do it. It's part of myself.
A drug.
Yes, on my side, I think it's not a myth. I'm very well placed because my father is 55. He just created his own startup 1 year ago. It just raised 3.5 million, so I'm a bit jealous. Of course, if he had done this 30 years ago, he wouldn't have found fundraising so easily. I'm not sure if I quite agree with you. I think entrepreneurship is getting much broader than before. I think before it's a feeling, but before you really had to be a real entrepreneur, it really had to be a drug for you, and maybe it changed in some way. You don't need to be that kind of guy anymore. You can intrapreneur. You can be an intrapreneur. You can also be an entrepreneur. It all depends on what you want to do with your life. And actually, we are going to live very, very long, we hope. And the bridge is getting more and more easy between the two worlds, between the big companies world and we were the VP messaging at Facebook. He was one of the founder of PayPal before. So
maybe one more question before we start the next part.
Good evening. We talked about serial entrepreneurs. You mentioned before that many successful startups were bought by bigger groups. Do you think that the startup business and innovation today is not meant to last because of the entrepreneurs who want to always start new things, or is it because of the market and the economy and the big groups that always buy the good ideas?
That's a good question. I would say it's both. I would say it's both. I mean, sometimes your fuel can really be inner, like I want to do something, and sometimes the fuel for starting a new company is just there is big demand outside from big companies, and I don't want to work within that company, but I want to start something to this big company. So it can be both.
I think big companies don't necessarily have to kill innovations. So it's not that if a big company buys a smaller company, then innovation will be killed. But it's definitely something that has happened. But what I did notice is that it seems to me that a lot of big companies, when they want to innovate, they need to buy the startups of the world, just because startups have a completely different mindset than and then it's about big corporations to understand the best way to integrate these new people, allowing them to still innovate and still do things the way they used to.
Did you see what Google has been revising in its HR policy, I think like a few months back? I don't know if it's completely down, but that was kind of funny. They were taking for granted something that is very clear, which is as much as you grow, the bigger you are, the less innovation you are able to do. It's just a fact. And if you discuss with some people working in huge companies in France, basically what they happen to say to cut the crap is maybe on a CEO level you want to make innovation, and then on a N-1 level, your job is to make sure there are no innovations, so it does not work. And what they have been doing at Google is, and it goes back to the question also on education, they've been, since the way they were hiring people is you have the top grades of the top business school or the top Ivy League of the top, and then you fight together and you're the best, and then you go. And a few months back, I understood they have been deciding to change this model of innovation. And what they've been doing and said, okay, you can go at Google if you started something, you failed, and you were okay to go and make something else. So everyone is fighting to be able to.
And you also did Harvard. Still.
Yes, yeah, but I got the impression that less and less it's changing. So basically, it's a question that everyone asks, and a lot is failing.
Okay, a very thank you to our guests. Maybe a round of applause. Now we will switch to the pitching competition.
I will ask my guests to.
Yes, let's move.
There are now judges.
So, hi everybody. So now we are going to move on to the next part of the WAD, which is the pitch competition. So let me remind you of the contest. We've selected 7 students out of 25, and they are gonna come and pitch about their project or about the startup they want to create. Every participant will get a present from all our startup coming to the startup corner. So you can see here the startup giving present for the participant. Mad Max, Printic, Biblib, Upslide, La Belle Assiette, Apple, and the tops. And this is for every competitor. At the end of the pitch session, we are going to choose 3 winners, one from the jury, who will come home with an iPhone 6, one from you. You are going to have to choose among the participants, the one who is gonna come home with an iPad, and the Carrefour HEC team is going to give the last present for the third winner. En fait, il servait à rien. Just put here, and here, and the iPhone 6. So I'm gonna call now Guillaume Gros for his startup Amaryllis.
Just a reminder, you only have 5 minutes.
Okay. So, hi everybody. So, I'm Guillaume Gros, and I'm going to talk about a bit about chemistry and my project, which is called Amaroli. So, I'll first begin with a simple question. Did you ever wonder if your pee had any value? The answer is pretty simple. In some cases, the answer is yes. My project is about recycling gadolinium from patients' urine having had an MRI scan. Because in some cases, doctors inject what we call a contrast agent to have a... And what they inject to you is between 1 and 2 grams of a highly valuable material, which is called gadolinium. Gadolinium is a rare earth element that you find mainly in China, and which is mined out and then changed a bit into a molecular form to be injected, and then you just pee it out at home, and so it finishes in the rivers, and so it pollutes the rivers. So my project is about collecting this urine, shipping it to a plant, and then recycling the gadolinium out of it. So how do we do that, and why? First of all, an environmental opportunity. There's at least 90 tons of gadolinium which is thrown each year in the sewers, and we are now reaching dangerous levels for biodiversity in rivers. So we need to get this out of the water. And second of all, 90 tons of gadolinium is between 100 million and $1 billion per year thrown basically when you urinate at home. And most of all, you need a non-Chinese source, because Chinese is controlling 95% of the production of rare earths, and they are now applying quotas, and you can't basically buy it, and it's very important because rare earths are found in your smartphones, for example. So how do we do this? We basically collect urine, basically at the radiologist centers. We then ship it to a factory, and we treat it. How do we treat it? So I'm currently collaborating with a team at the CEA Saclay that have a technology of filtration on nanocarbon fibers, on which I want to graft a special cage that will capture the gadolinium out of the water. And then we can basically just get the gadolinium out of it afterwards. So today, I'm currently looking up to develop partnerships with research partners. So as I told you, the CEA, but also the CNRS and a startup which is called CITER, and which is trying to develop also recycling of rare earths. I'm also doing all the marketing and logistics study, because you might imagine you need to collect urine, you need to transport this. It's a bit smelly, it's a bit difficult, and there's plenty of issues about that. And so once this is achieved, my project could be applied to many other medical wastes, which also have valuable material in it, and we could also get them out and then basically sell it. And we could also apply my technique to recycle your smartphones. For the moment, on your smartphone, you basically throw it away, they destroy it, and they put it in basically earth because you can't get it out, and so it's also pollution linked to that. So thank you for your attention, and if you've got any questions.
Okay, we will open the floor to questions about Amaroli.
Seems very interesting, and I love the fact that you started with you know, a question and a story. It was entertaining immediately, because that's always a challenge, right? When you do something around things that maybe not many people are familiar with. So really good. My question to you is around. It obviously seems great, but how would you do? It's kind of a marketplace, right? On one side you have like the people who are gonna pee, and on the other side you have like the potential buyers of the medical waste. How do you intend to find these people first, and who are you gonna sell the material waste afterwards?
Okay, so basically, for the selling is not the challenge, because there's a huge demand and there's plenty of buyers. But all the electronic companies which are in dear demand of these materials, and so this won't be a challenge. And I've got already contacts in this business. On the other side, it's really the collection which will be problematic. The first idea was just to say at people who had just an MRI scan, give them and then tell them, come back and give me back the bottle once you've peed for 24 hours. This is basically impossible, because your costs go through the roof because of the urine is considered as a dangerous medical waste. So my idea now is to put toilets on just near the MRI exams, and after an hour you've got at least 70% which is in the bladder. So I'll just ask the patients, it's an environmental way, and tell them if you don't pee, you could pee here, it doesn't cost you anything, and if you go back and pee at home, you will pollute, so you should pee here.
Because
you could basically tell them, basically the patients are my suppliers, so I could pay them.
Yeah,
but
that's what I was about to ask you.
If I pay them, it would be ridiculous. I could pay them 1 or 2 euros. Would you pee somewhere just for 1 or 2 euros?
I can think about a great marketing campaign, like pay to pee or something like that.
Yeah, but basically the idea is stay on the environmental aspect.
Makes sense.
Do we have another question?
Yeah. I have 2 questions. The first one, you haven't mentioned, I also very much like the product or the service. You haven't mentioned the idea of how much money would you sell. Is it like, I mean, your selling price, is it linked like raw materials to up and downs, like actually we have with oil? So is there any risk of up and downs for the selling price? And the second question is, I think, which could be of interest to go back to your first point about your user, like your first users. You really belong to the circular economy. Maybe try to figure out how can I give back something to my client. Like if you come to the center and pay every year or something, then after 2 years you get a rebate on a phone or something, you know.
So I'll get back to that. Just the second question, it's pretty simple. It's an MRI. You don't have an MRI every day. Basically, you have an MRI maybe once every 10 years. So there's no point of saying, or maybe for regular MRI, but that would mean that you're a terminal cancer, or so I wouldn't play on that. On the circular market, what we have actually now is China pressing. They are controlling 95% of the world's production, and they are applying quotas. We've seen an increase by tenfold in the last 5 years, and the need in these materials are exploding. We're now finding more and more application where they are useful, and so the trend should continue to go up. Yes.
Excuse me, just a last question. I think the collection point is the main point. Can you imagine a world where everybody has a filter in its own toilet, and then sell to guys like you what you can find in the filter? Is it possible or not?
It could be possible, but not at every. You could put it at epuration stations.
And also one of my epuration stations. Don't they collect already?
For the moment, these are huge amounts of water that you need to treat. Basically, what I'm looking for is highly concentrated materials. What we inject is between 1 and 2 grams of metal, and so I have only the UP1, maximum half a liter. So I have between 1 and 2 grams in half a liter. If I would put this in epuration stations, I would have, I don't know, maybe 100 grams in total, but on a huge amount.
And can't you sell just kits, small kits? So I know I went to do an IRM, so I know I will have to put this kit in my toilet for 2 days in order to gather as much.
It would come back to the same problem of logistics. Then you would have to send it back, and so you would have to go to a pharmacy, give back your sample to be treated. You come back to the first. It would, come back to the first matter of logistics, I think.
Thank you, Guillaume. Round of applause. And the next team.
Our next participant is now François-Marie for his startup Workies. You can encourage him. It's quite hard to be here on stage.
Thank you. Okay, so hello HT. My name is François-Marie and I'm about to present you Workies. Just for you to know first, the idea of Workies came 3 years ago. It has a lot evolved. The website was developed in 1 month and is still evolving every day. And we launched Workies last week. So just what do we do? Basically, we want to push students to work with entrepreneurs. Okay, so first, why Workies? Well, the idea came because I wanted to help one guy. His name is Jack. And I can bet that all of you know Jack. I met him right here on HC campus. Jack was one of my bros, but he was always without money and always he was craving for money, always looking for an opportunity to improve his way of living. Also, Jack hadn't experienced enough, and this kind of was painful to launch himself into the professional world, and it was kind of a problem during the Carrefour. Okay, so now I really have a question. How many among you feel that they are kind of a Jack? Like they lack money and they want to get some experience? Really, I think we all need to see that. There are a lot of Jacks here. And do you think it's normal? Do you think it's normal that with your skills and what you're learning today, you can't do anything about it? Well, with Workies, we want to help. We're going to build a platform to push students work with entrepreneurs. We want to make entrepreneurs develop their startups. We want them to explode. And we want students to gain cash, experience, to prove their skills. We want them to meet professionals, enter the professional world. And now, today, with Workies, we are contacting alumni, companies. We already have more than 150 students, more than 10 missions, and it's only the beginning because we are about to work for you during the Carrefour. We want to get you missions. But still, we are thinking about building a community. We want everyone in the community to help each other find a mission, find a company to work with. If you can't do a website and you know someone who is looking for, push him on Workiz. And if a friend of you like knows someone who needs a BP or something that you can do, HC students, well, you're gonna push his friend also on Workiz, and in the end, everyone's gonna work together and gain some experience. So in the end, you're gonna see like missions like translations, writing articles, websites, also Excel modelization, PowerPoint presentations, a lot of those things, and you're gonna work really for real. Okay, but now you're a company, and why would you want a student to work for you? I mean, it's only a student. Well, Workiz is being tested here on the campus. We want to go from campus to campus, but here we're speaking of la crème de la crème. And so first, on campus, we already have a diversity of profiles. I mean, we have special ed master who came from other schools too, HC. We also have Grande École, and all those guys, like they are like Jack. They are work efficient, they learn fast, and they want to help. Okay, but mostly, for a company, we're going to change their recruitment process. Just imagine. Imagine you could give a student a mission, not an interview, a mission. You make him work for you for something short, you test his skills, you see how professional he is, his personality, and you can sell him your company. If you are a startup, an entrepreneur, you're going to sell him your team, your values, why you are creating this company. And this is really helpful for an entrepreneur to find an intern, an associate. This can also help companies after. Also, an entrepreneur, students can help entrepreneurs to do what they can't do, and they can help them buy time. If they are losing clients because they can't do something, well, an entrepreneur can win that contract, can win that client, and they will push him for that. And so in the end, he won't miss a thing. Okay, so now I hope you all love Workiz. We are new. We need your help here. If you wanna like us on Facebook, you're more than welcome. Also, if you wanna help us find missions, don't hesitate. You can subscribe on workiz.com. We have the .com. It's only 2 clicks with LinkedIn. And your profile, like experience and stuff, it's like fills in automatically. You don't have to spend more than 2 clicks.
Thank you, Francois.
Okay,
it's 5 minutes.
Spread the word. Spread the word. Thank you.
Do we have any questions for Francois?
Yes. Thank you.
Great presentation. My
Thank
question to you is, I didn't quite get how it's going to work exactly in terms of like, I'm a company, I want to hire an HEC student. Should I just like, I'm going to post my mission and then someone applies to it and there's compensation and you get a cut? How does the business work essentially?
Yeah. So first, if you are a company, you just have to subscribe and then first subscribe, then describe your mission. When you describe it, you can put your maximum price because you know what you can pay. You are an entrepreneur and it's not always easy. But so you describe the mission and your maximum price. The students who are interested, they reply to that and they indicate a price below the maximum. But maybe the mission is crazy, maybe the company is crazy, and as a student, you're gonna see all those missions and you can decide. The entrepreneur see a lot of students replying to him, he can choose, and then it's on.
And you take a commission?
Yeah, exactly. Because we help you work. But in the end, the idea is like the community to help each other, and we wanna like kind of pay those who help us find missions and stuff. We're working on that. We really need the community.
And two other questions. First, is it direct? I mean, do you make any filters in between one part and the other? And the second, you plan to start obviously with this school, but if you will not know exactly the same way the other schools, what they can to handle that development.
Yep. What we want to do also through the platform is like gamification. We want the entrepreneurs to to evaluate the skills of the students. So in the end, all those profiles you get when you posted your mission, you're gonna see so those who already had experience on the website, those who had good marks, less marks, and the students who have less experience, maybe they'll put a price below those who have more and stuff. So in the end, we want to provide information to the entrepreneur, and thanks to gamification, we want to reduce the risk. Entrepreneurs. Also for their recruitment. More questions, maybe? Yes? That's the question I have more. Well, just first thing to know is when a junior entrepreneurs like post like a mission, they get more than 200 answers, meaning like students want to work, and there isn't like mission enough for all the campus. And so what we are different because our team is going to look for missions. I mean, junior entreprise have some members who are like looking for missions, but that's our only purpose. Whereas junior enterprise members, their main work is like to field the missions and maybe to dispatch some tasks of it. But their main purpose is not to like just go out of the campus and talk to entrepreneurs or to companies. And we want to focus on that, to provide and to help students get missions. Yep. Yeah, we're still working on the percentage and all that stuff, but the idea is like all that go through the platform, we take a commission if an entrepreneur finds a student. So if like they kind of work together. Yes.
Yeah, we do have Ushot is more or less a platform also. We call a two faces platform. At what moment will it be before the mission or at the end of the mission? And of course, what happens when the company is not happy with the mission?
Yep. So first, we're going to take the 15% commission before so like the company sees a student that like he likes, and he asks us the name, the number, and all that is kind of hidden. He only sees curriculum, and so we take the 15% contribution, and so the company pays the rest after. The idea is that if like the company isn't satisfied, we can pay them back. If a student kind of wasn't paid, we can also pay him back. So those 15% can help us deal with the problems. Because, yeah, this is going to be important in the beginning. Yes?
Oh, we have to move on. Sorry, 5 minutes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Francois.
Okay, thank you, Francois. Now it's Johan and Adrian's turn.
Ah, parfait. Hop, et la télécommande est putain. C'est là. So, good evening, everyone. I'm Adrian Villa.
And I'm Johan Guez.
So we are really proud to be here tonight to present our project and our passion. It's called Amiander. So,
first, there's one thing to know. We're passionate about music and cinema. And this is our student room. Yes, we can say we're some kind of hipsters. And we were at HEC, and during our first year, we spent our time like listening to music and
watching a lot of films.
Watching binge films and series.
But actually, we faced a problem because to find some new music and new films we didn't know before, because basically for hidden gems, they're hidden and they're nowhere to be found. So we chose to address the problem, and this is what gave us the idea for Amiander.
So Amiander is the place where you can find that artist that has been missing in your iTunes library, or this director you didn't know some early works of. And basically, Amiander, we write reviews about these lesser known works that have shaped
the 20th century.
Yep.
We've designed our MVP and we've launched it six months ago. So here's what it looks like. And we've done a 100% responsive website. So if you're curious about it, you can check it out on your smartphone. But let's talk a little bit more about how we do it.
Our goal was to write articles as engaging as possible. And that's why we decided to divide them into two parts. Well, the first part is about the context of the work. Well, basically, what cultural movement it is in. Has it influenced great artists, famous artists? And in short, we tried to describe to you the context, the historical and cultural context of the work, and give you fun facts about it. And in the second part, we analyze the work, and we tell you why it is so exceptional. But there's one more thing, actually. We don't think that our review would be that complete if you couldn't go further into the work, check it out by yourself. So that's why we decided to add a third part to our reviews, which is a carefully curated video playlist, so as you can get further into the work. And what are our criteria to choose these works? It's quite simple. There are two criteria. The first one is the lack of commercial success, or commercial successes that have been forgotten nowadays, and critical acclaim. So here are two examples of work we've reviewed. The first one is an album made by a community of hippies back in the 60s that mixed traditional Scottish folk with world music. The second one is an obscure medium by Fellini right after he almost died of embolism. So, well, the first deeply inspired two guys, John Lennon and Paul McCartney, back in the early 60s, and convinced them to do music. And the second one was considered by Fellini as his most personal work and one of his greatest movies.
So, let's talk a little bit more about the business. At the beginning, we chose to target an educated population, an urban population, which is interested by the fields of music, cinema, and technology. And for the moment, the statistics had proved us right, since 91% of our traffic matches the target. And at Amiander, we really love statistics because we think it's the best way to assess performance. It's also the best way to get further insight into your customers' habits. So here are a few ones. We have 55% of returning visitors. We have an engagement rate on Facebook, which is 11%. And if I tell you the average engagement rate is 1% for Facebook pages, I think it's quite a huge difference. And also, some of our articles have been shared by world-class artists, such as Brian Jackson or the Cocteau Twins. At the beginning, when we started the project, we figured out that the best way to monetize it was to do sponsored links. That is to say that you're giving a link to Amazon or iTunes, and in exchange for that, they're going to give you a small percentage of the shopping cart value.
And there are other options that we haven't explored yet, which are events and partnerships that could help us spread our brand and also generate some income, and derived products.
So, in a few months, we have for Amiander. We're going to launch a revamped version of the website in next month. We're going to launch a French version of it in March, and we're going to start monetizing it with sponsored content in April. But specifically, beginning in June, we're going to be committed full-time on the project as we finished our second year at HEC. So to wrap it up, just a small presentation of ourselves. So we are both the core of the team of Amiander. We're both M1 students at HEC. I'm personally very interested by entrepreneurship, by new technologies, and I'm also a full-stack web developer on my part-time.
And I'm Johan Guez, and I'm the chief editor of Amiander. And I like to consider myself as a music archaeologist. Well, actually, what we wanted to say is that we, above all, created a community of devoted writers, and some of them are here today in this auditorium. And we just wanted to say that Amiander would not exist without them. So thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any questions?
So we basically have two ways to imagine the size of the target. The first one is using Facebook and seeing when you filter, you put filters into the ads, how many people you can reach. So it's really hard to say. It will be several millions potentially. But the more interesting way to see, to answer to that question is to look at the competitors.
What the competition does.
For instance, there's actually no competitor in exact the same place of the market we are, but in the similar places, website in French can go up to almost 70,000 subscribers. It can go up to approximately 150,000 subscribers to a newsletter for a website that does similar content.
And for instance, you did the closest brand that does things like us, but they are specialized in like blues rock from the 50s and 60s. It was created by Universal, and they have like a huge range of customers because they have more than 150K likes. So it's like a huge market.
How often do you post new content? What's your goal?
So our goal is to post for the moment 3 posts a week.
3 times a week.
And we're putting a lot of time and effort to increase the size of our community of writers, and it's starting to pay off. And now we're receiving approximately 4 to 5 articles, and we are obviously gonna start paying the writers since we start monetizing the website, and it's gonna be even more interesting for them and for us.
Yeah.
So just to continue on that question, how do you think you're gonna find your users? What's your strategy around that?
So we're dealing with we're trying to address the question with several answers. So
the first thing we did to number of people who read us is to have a real social media strategy. We are very present on social networks like Twitter or Facebook. We post on an average of 10 posts, 12 posts a day on Twitter, and a lot on Facebook too. And we have several other options to...
We try to use a lot of tools to improve our performance and to assess what we're doing on the social media. Now, as soon as we have the revamped version of the website, we're going to start going the streets and talk to people and bring them to the website because we think it's the best way to bring value to what we're doing.
For instance, in the hipster bars, just talk to the products.
For instance,
you see what I mean?
Organize some small events in Paris or things like that.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much. Or one. Is it if you had one more question.
What is the most important things for you? Is targeting people who make the reviews, or what is most important for you? People that's gonna populate the reviews, etc. Or people that's gonna be reading those reviews and.
I think it's hard to separate both because on high quality reviews and nobody reads them, it's gonna be a problem. And on the other hand, it's the same thing. So for the moment, we're trying to get as regular as possible in our work when finding new writers and when writing articles. And as soon as we get used to be working on that every day and doing it every week, we're gonna start a larger acquisition strategy.
Okay, thank you very much.
So I'm now calling François Martel for his project Smart Weather.
Hi everyone. So for a second, I will ask you to close your eyes and imagine yourself sitting at the back of a plane that is trying to land in the middle of a thunderstorm. For sure, you're worried. But you're not the most worried, because the pilots and the control tower are as worried as you are. Every year, thousands of passengers have their lives put in jeopardy because in extreme weather conditions at the landing process. Crosswinds, heavy rainfalls, smog. This is dangerous, of course, but it is also costly because of delays, because of traffic disruption. What Smart Weather wants to do is to help airports to secure their landing process by providing them a highly accurate weather forecasting tool. Basically, what we're doing is offering airports wind, rain level, pressure, temperature, humidity, everywhere on runways and up in the air. With this data in mind, airports are able to organize their traffic in advance. They are able to warn planes of extreme weather conditions. They're able to delay landing phases when the safety conditions are not met. The product is basically a big data algorithms. We take a gross weather forecast, such as the one by Météo France, and then we refine it with statistical methods. So for those of you who are interested in how it works, we have studied a database of weather phenomena, clustered them, and the algorithm will try to match the current weather conditions with past events, and with this match, we'll be able to make accurate forecasts. The difference and the main advantages of Smart Weather product is that we're not only forecasting weather conditions on the ground, but we're also forecasting weather conditions in the air, where most of the danger lies. Actually, the statistics, as François will show you, have shown that most accidents will happen between 0 and 1 kilometers. That is precisely where we're trying to make the product work.
So hi everyone, my name is François. So I'm gonna try to just explain to you how it works now and how we're going to change the things in forecasting weather on runways. So talking about airports, two things are really important. First the turnover and then the security. Security is maybe a little less obvious than turnover, but the trust that airlines have in your airport is going to make you earn more, of course. So today's systems, basically you have everything starts from weather forecasts. Then systems called GDPs, ground delay programs, they compute the rotation capacity of the airport and they schedule the flights. But what happens if, for example, unpredicted weather condition change happens, they delay flights by impeding them from taking off at their takeoff airport, which costs a lot. So the problems are imprecise forecast and a really inadapted scale. So with smart weather, we'll be able to lower the risks of crashes at while landing or taking off by 5 to 15%, but it's really hard to estimate this because we have a huge lack of data. What we are quite sure about is we are able to increase the turnover by optimizing the rotation on the runways. We ran a little case study on the San Francisco airport, and we increased by we believe we are able to increase by 3.2% this number, which means 41 planes a day. You may know that a passenger represents 35 euros, for example, for Parisian airports. So of course, our goal is to first target the French market, but to quickly move to more dynamic markets. And we are now in touch with 2 airports in France to try to test our model. And as soon as we get one airport, I guess we'll be able to eat the big apple. And when I say we, of course, I'm talking about Etienne and I. I'm talking as well about Patrick and Karen. I'm sure you'd be glad to meet them. Karen is from Telecom Paris, and Patrick is a Brazilo-American guy who is now studying at HEC. So after a few months of working on this project, I guess it's time for us to take off. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions? In the back?
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah. We run data testing data from Polytechnique. So their laboratories have collected data over several years, tested our model on these data, and
we have a prototype,
and it was pretty accurate. So here we are talking of short-term forecast. That is, 1 hour, 2 hours, no more. So the climate change is a global process that takes place on a much larger time frame. Yeah. When we run, we made some business simulations with Aéroport de Paris, and we noticed that increasing traffic by 3.2% will represent for Aéroport de Paris an increase in revenue of 100 million euros a year. So we believe that there is a huge potential and a huge value to make from selling this product.
Yeah, and before changing the area, I mean the industry, we would prefer rather operate diversification towards GDPs to get a bigger part of the added value than shifting to a totally different sector.
Two questions. One is how your customers, airlines or the airports?
Airports.
Airports, right? Have you tried to sort of like talk to them already as to whether they'd be willing for such a service?
We're trying actually.
Okay. The fact is that there are not all airports need smart weather. Okay. We estimate that from our contacts, we estimate that only around 20% of them would be interested to pay for that service.
Okay. Cool. Why some people wouldn't need it?
Because there's so many really small airports, like there are tourism airports or private airports, and or for example low-cost airports, and they are too expensive for them, and the increase in the number of rotating flights is not that high for them, and they don't really value it.
Actually, to make the product work, you have first to gather an history of weather conditions on the airport. So you have to set up lots of different captors all around the runways to accurately measure weather conditions. And that there is a setup cost that not, as François said, able to
take. How would you price your product with the different airports?
So the price will depend on the number of runways which are equipped with the system, and also about the numbers of system units we're putting. Actually, we've not been able to run our product on runways. We've only run it on one spot on the campus.
Yeah. What's the difference, for example, with companies or apps called turbulence forecast and things like that, test flights and so forth?
Yeah, Turbulence was bought by Boeing like 1 year ago. They're not doing the same thing. I mean, they are trying to replace the current actors in the service sector. We are just trying to add something to their service, and so we really want to we really see this business as a niche. So it's really harmful, I would say, or difficult to implement for airports because we are just plugging ourselves on already existent services.
Smart weather has three distinctive identities. The first one is local scale, so we're only trying to forecast weather on very short scales, usually 1 kilometers, less than that. The second is the time frame, 1 hour, 2 hours, and the third one is space. We're not trying it to forecast only on the ground, but also in the air. And there is currently no company that offers these three things combined.
Sorry, we have to move on to the next team. So round of applause, please.
Our next participants are Elliot and Rachel for their project Song for You.
Hi everyone. Last week I was listening to a song on the radio. I really liked it and I decided to send it. I wanted to send it to a friend. So I used Shazam to get the name of the song and the title. But then the question remaining, how to do so. So should I just send him a text with the name of the song and the artist and let him Google it himself? But what guarantees him that he's going to actually look it up? I could also use YouTube, go myself on YouTube and send him the link. But what happens if he clicks on the link, if he actually does click on the link, but doesn't listen to the whole song and he just misses the best part? So most often what happens is that we get together and we end up listening to the song once we're all together, and the same old conversation takes place. Did you listen to it? What a great song. Did you remember me sending it to you? No, I was probably doing something else. So nowadays there are many apps that enable us to send text messages and videos, but nothing to share music. So we decided to create a new intuitive app named Song for You.
So it's a very easy and fast way to share music, and it only takes a few steps. So first, you can find your song by typing the title in the search bar. After, you can add a message if you want. Then you choose your contact you want to send the song in your contact list. And after, the application sends your song to your contact smartphone. Then your contact can listen to the best 3 seconds of the song by clicking on it. And after, if he likes the song, he can keep the name of the song in a new pages, but he can find it again when he uses the application after. So how does it work? iTunes enables you to listen for a free extract of 30 seconds when you want to buy a song. So we use this system to send the song to our contact. And also, so the songs are not saved on the phone. And is it bankable? Yes, because when you keep the name of the song, you can click on it and be redirected toward iTunes to buy it. And also, you can subscribe freely for a newsletter, and you can have 1 or 2 songs a week, song you may enjoy and may buy after. And the principle is, if there is enough people uses this app, maybe we can you can ask iTunes for some of the money if they buy the song. That's all.
Yeah, will you also be a platform on which I can listen to the music, or I'm only redirected to whatever existing platform?
No, you can listen to it, but only one time and 30 seconds. In 30 seconds.
Is this failure in the Apple system you are using? I
Yes.
mean, not failure, but sorry.
It's only for promoting. It's not for listening after. It's not like Deezer or Spotify. It's to share music, and you want the people, your contact, to like it, and after they can listen it entirely, but it's really to share the song.
The reason why I'm asking is because I'm trying to imagine how you can be better than Deezer, and how you can grow your community if you are not retaining them in a place in which they listen. But I don't know. I mean.
Yeah, essentially, why would I use your app to share music, and I wouldn't do it like within Deezer, like Spotify, or send a YouTube video? What's going to be compelling for me to use your service as opposed to these other services?
Because it's easy and fast, and it only takes 30 seconds and you can like or not the song. But if you send a YouTube, you have to click on it, take time to listen to the song, and maybe the first 1 minute is very boring, and people will know it's a shitty song. But after it so that way you can share it very easy, and people can listen it. It's not taking a lot of time.
It's the same as the Snapchat. Why do you just use Snapchat and not just send a text with the photo?
Okay.
Do you know any competitors?
I don't know.
Okay.
Any questions from the audience? Okay, round of applause. Thank you.
Okay, now Antoine Guilguet is going to talk to you about Grand Bazaar.
Hello everybody, my name is Antoine and I'm going to talk to you about Grand Bazaar. So when it comes to watching movies, I think you all have wasted a lot of time wondering which movie you're going to watch tonight. And internet is to some extent a failure or a Grand Bazaar because it doesn't provide a quick and easy way to select and watch a movie. So here is the idea. Why that's so hard first to find a movie on internet? First of all, because you always want to watch a movie that fits perfectly to the moment and to the context. Secondly, you necessarily have the device, the platform to find the movie you want to watch right away. So I came up with the idea of Grand Bazaar, a three-step website which would follow the users from the very choice of the movie to the device with which you are going to watch your movie. So first step, fill in criteria. I truly believe that for a movie to be remembered, you need to love the content, but also to remember the context in which you watched it. So, how much time do you have? In which atmosphere are you? Are you concentrated, tired? Are you drunk? Or do you want to spend some time with family? How many people are with you? Are you alone? And what kind of... And above all, what are your expectations? Do you want to laugh? Do you want to be scared? Do you want to be thrilled? Or maybe not thrilled? Do you want to be lucky? Or maybe not so lucky for the guy on the right, which is me? Well, anyway, Grand Bazaar would provide you with a simple list of movies, providing relevant details on the movies. And let's take an example. I have 2 hours, I'm with 3 friends, I want to watch an absurd movie in a casual atmosphere, and I expect the movie to make me laugh. Of course, I'm gonna find OSS 117 ranked first, La Cité de la Peur ranked second, and A Million Ways to Die in the West third. Third step, watch it the way you want. Either you already have it on your computer or your TV, or you may want to buy it online. So Grand Bazaar will redirect you towards VOD websites to purchase it online. You might also want just to watch it in a legal streaming website such as Netflix or PureVid. As well, Grand Bazaar will redirect you. And the same thing if you want just to rent it for the night. The fact is, Grand Bazaar will get a 4 or 5% percentage on every sale made through the site. Now, let's precise the consumer's role in our project. Anyone could use Grand Bazaar just to be helped by their algorithm to select and watch a movie. But you could also create a personal account which will allow you to comment, to share, and to rank the movies you have already seen. And Grand Bazaar would use this data to personalize your homepage and to make proper suggestions to your profile. You could also add your friends and see what are their preferences, what movies they have watched recently. And eventually, I would like to make the users to take part in the elaboration of the website, meaning that if he wants to submit his own critiques, his own opinions about the movies he has seen, he could submit it to the editors, and editors would agree or not to publish it not only on his profile, but on the entire website. Now, ladies and gentlemen, because there is enough war in this world, I would love that you do not keep fighting on which movie you're going to watch tonight, but help me restore peace and use. Thank you very much.
Do you agree with the fact that the more data you will collect from your customer, the more powerful you will be?
Yes.
So how do you compete with Netflix and Amazon?
The fact is, I do not have to scare them first. I just like to appear like a useful website, just to redirect clients towards those kind of websites. And as the community will be expected to grow, negotiating will be a key strategy in the development of Grand Bazaar, because I cannot make a competition between several sellers, for example, Netflix, Amazon, PureVid, else, and ask them to help me develop my own community. So it has to be subtle, it has to be, I think, a bit brutal to gain my community quite rapidly, and then to negotiate with bigger players. Yes. It's still a project. I do not yet have worked on the database, but I'm passionate of movies, so I was thinking of doing it myself and be helped by some friends who are motivated by the project.
So far you just have the idea, right?
Sorry?
So far you only have the idea, right?
Yeah.
What do you think your next steps are? Like, what do you want to do next?
Okay, next I have to find a programmer to code the website. I've already had a friend to design it and to make it really fast to use. The thing is, I want a user to find a film within 20 seconds. It has to be the point. Like, make your choice and have a solution to watch it very quickly. Yes? Yes, you're right. That was a big problem because at the beginning the idea was not to focus precisely on movies, but it was to make out of any cultural good, such as books, music, shows, series, and to apply the same concept, meaning having criteria, apply an algorithm, having a list, and making your choice, and the website will redirect any website to purchase it. So I did not want to avoid probable growth opportunities by choosing a name which were too focused on the movie universe. Yeah, I just refocused on movies because I was with which I was most comfortable, and it was the thing I wanted to start it with. Any more questions? Yes.
What if I go on Grand Bazaar, find my perfect movie, and then open a new page and purchase it in another website, and then I avoid the commission?
I guess you're just fucking me in that way. Because I am supposed to make money on the transactions, so if you don't click on the link to be redirected towards another website, I will not earn money. Thank you, Charles.
Okay, any other questions? Okay.
Yeah. Yes, I do not know yet, but there are several websites that already exist and that provide sort of criteria to select the movie that fits perfectly to your idea. But none of them provides the 3 steps I just mentioned, like the criteria, the list with the details and the teaser, and a way to on the internet. But it's a terrific point. Yes? If I understood your question, I agree that the database should be quite huge. I mean, at the start, I cannot launch the company unless I have at least 3,000 movies in the database to provide a larger list of movies. I mean, in my example, I only gave 3 movies, but ideally, it would be between 10 and 20 movies. Was that your point?
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Our last team.
And our last participants for tonight are Hugo and Marc-Antoine for Spen Watchers.
Hey, hello. C'est bon? Okay. So, hello everyone. So, we are Marc-Antoine and Hugo, engineer, so we would like to apologize for English. Thank you. We would like to present you Spen Watcher.
But what is Spen Watcher?
Spen Watcher is a technology which is gonna treat and send automatically all your business expense to your account and to your company.
Wow, amazing. So in fact, we observed that when a sales representative sleeps in a hotel, 2 entities suffers. First of all, you have the sales representative himself, because he loses time and money. He loses time because he has to manage all his expense account, and he loses money because if he loses the proof of expenses, he can be reimbursed by his company. And it is which suffer is the companies itself, because there are 3 issues. First of all, they can't recover the VAT if the invoice is not in their name. So they have to pay another firm that will edit new invoices at their name, and it takes them a lot of money. The second one is the treasury gap, because the sales representative gave their expense account at the end of the mission and not at the end of each month like they have to do. So they can ask for 10 for then euro, which is a lot, so it's not comfortable for the company. And the last one is that there is a lack of information in all the invoice. For example, if it's written in the bills of the night, La Veranda, 80 euro. What is La Veranda? Is it a sauna or is it a restaurant? The company can't know and have a lot of issue for that.
So SpendWatcher brings solution to those two actors. First of all, for the sales representative. It's gonna save him time with an automatic workflow who's gonna send all his invoice in our SpendWatcher account to his account department. Like that, you don't have to treat all these invoice. And the second part is he's gonna save money. Because the invoice is automatically sent to his SpendWatcher account, he always have a proof of what he expends during his business trip. So like that, he don't lose money. For the company, the first point is the auto workflow. With the auto workflow, you're gonna earn money and time, because at the end of each month, all the invoice of all his sales representatives are gonna be automatically sent to its account department for the verification. Like that, it avoids the 10,000 fees at the end of the mission instead of 5,000 monthly. So the second part is a tax refund. The tax refund gonna be easy, make it easier, because we are going to treat automatically the invoice and change the name of the sales representative to the company name, which is mandatory to be refunded by the sales. And the last part is to avoid the sales representative traders, which sometimes use some trick to be refunded, like alcohol drink, this kind of stuff, which is not legal to be refunded with the company. So we're going to detail all the line of the invoice, like that the company can see what he spent in which restaurant, and if it was just meat, feed.
So that is the SpendWatcher proposition. So in the paper, it's cool. But how did we do that? This observation made, we developed a technology. We already have a prototype, which is really simple and efficient. Why simple? Because we have only 3 tools: a card, a USB card reader, and a new print driver that we change on the computer of the hotelier, which means we do not change his ERP because he doesn't like that. So it's efficient because it's only 3 steps. First one, the commercial, and the print driver allow the hotelier to send the invoice by mail or to our boss is possible. So if the sales representative say yes, he just have to beep his card with the USB card reader. It's a RFID technology, and then the invoice is automatically sent. Then second step, we treat the invoice, because this format is like PDF. It's not readable by the ERP of the company, so we treat it so that it's legible by by his company. And then last step, like every month, we can automatically send all the invoice of the sales representative to his company, so that there is no gap treasury and everything.
To manage this company, we have 3 partners. There is a 50-year-old guy, which Xavier Deleval, which is a CEO of Mobile Expense, which is who helps company to manage the expense. There is Marc-Antoine, who is going to be in charge of the technical part, myself, and I'm going to be in charge of the business development. So SpendWatcher going to target 15 million nights market, which is the number of nights spent for the sales representative in France. So we are going to earn money. We have the aim of earn money on each invoice we treat. Like that, we can earn at least €1 per invoice we treat, and we are going to charge also the company for the card for the sales representative and all the setup in the hostel. So we hope you get what is a SpendWatcher. It brings time and money for the company, and also it's a way to refund the sales representative who spend a night at the VIP room and try to make it like a hostel. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening.
Any questions for a spend watcher?
Yeah, I have a question. You know there are big competitors in the US. Why do you think that French companies would go for your solution and not just not pick up the American?
The current, the actual competitors, because we are not targeting the same company. We are more for the small company which doesn't have the budget to pay like a Concur or a KDS technology.
Yeah, but the small companies, they don't travel that much, so.
A lot of companies have some same representative, so they face the same troubles, but it's like in a smaller quantity.
The advantage we have is that we are working with Xavier Deloval, who is an expert of this area, of this domain, and he tells us that his clients are coming crying to him and say, hey, please develop the solution for us, because hotels invoice is really a nightmare. So we are really sure of the market, and this early adopter.
It's definitely worth trying the existing solutions. Like for example, what I use at Stylet is something called Xero. Have you heard of this? That basically allows you to kind of like keep track of all your receipts, and there's definitely like a lot that can be improved. But it's as a recommendation, it's worth to like have a look at it to build something better.
We have a huge difference. It's that we doesn't touch the ERP of the hotel, so they have no matter to work with us, because it's just a print driver you have to change. It's like a 10-minute work, so we have no problem to convince them to work with us. Any more questions?
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Et on ne sait pas comment rentrer à Paris, donc si quelqu'un a une place dans sa voiture, on est preneur. Merci.
Okay, thank you. Now thank you for all the pitches. Now we're going to do the exciting part. We're going to decide the winners for the pitch competition. As we previously said, there's two prizes. The panelists, the speakers, will choose the first place, and there will be an audience prize. So first we ask the speakers to step out into the hallway, discuss amongst themselves. We prepared a list that you can take with you. And then we'll talk about how the audience prize will be determined.
So the audience poll works via this link. You can go to this link on your phone. There's a poll there, and you can just vote for whichever team you thought was the best. Sorry? Oh, you said not? Yeah. You didn't tell me. That's what they just said. Why not? What's wrong now? Doesn't work? Okay. Okay, sorry. Apparently we have to wait for the judges to make their decision first, and then... Sorry.
Is the link live? Yeah, so what they said is they first should decide the first place and then
Yeah. judges will be decided in a couple of minutes. So.
Moi, je vais encore. Pas Bah, le truc, c'est que si j'active le bail maintenant, les gens vont. Enfin, je sais pas. Franchement, je suis pas très cool par rapport aux gens comme ça. Bah, je trouve cool qu'ils soient là, tu vois. Plutôt qu'ils arrivent devant le fait accompli. Ouais. Sinon, là, il revient. Du coup, je prépare ça. Tu veux pas rester pour voter?
C'est maintenant.
Ouais, mais le vote est fermé. Très bien. Du coup, mais est-ce que là, on lancerait pas le vote? Ok, on va lancer le vote sur Internet. Je sais pas comment on lance le vote.
Should I launch it? I have to wait and go to announce. Okay, go ahead. Tell me.
So we've got a winner, and the winner is Guillaume Gros with his startup Amaroli. So round of applause.
On va faire un prix de
The winner from the no, not from the public, from the entrepreneurs. And now let's do the winner from the public. So please vote as we explain. Starts now.
Je sais pas. Non plus, ça marche pas.
C'est marrant la différence.
C'est bon, là, tout le monde arrive à voter?
So we have 55 votes, 58.
Has everyone voted?
Okay, so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wait a bit. Okay, so I think we can say that Antoine Gilguet, with his Grand Bazaar Albia, has won the public prize. Well done to him. And last prize, the prize from the Carrefour team, is so we voted for Aminder, Johan Guez, and Adrian Villa. Okay, so we invite every pitcher to come and join us. We'll be having a little cocktail outside, and with, of course, our guests.